of course, the ACC schedule that came out. Of course, it typically starts with 8 games. That's the schedule in the ACC. You play everyone in your division. That's 6 other teams. You play the 2 crossover games if you're Miami, and that's always Florida State. And then it rotates. It was supposed to be Wake Forest this year. It was Louisville last year, but it's turned out to be slightly different than that with 5 home, 5 away. So do you have anything that jumped out at you in regards to looking at the schedule? I guess that one big thing would be, that team in South Carolina that got added.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say this right now. On this stage, we aren't to their level yet. That doesn't mean that you can't show up and show the type of coach that you are, type of coordinator that you are, the type of player that you are with a stage like at Clemson, South Carolina. Now, not saying we're going to go in and win. Not saying we're going to upset them. Not saying we're going to hop on and win by 60 points. I'm not that guy. That's not where I'm going with it. But all you can ever ask for is an opportunity. Now, what you do once you're given that chance, that's on you. But a stage like at Clemson, and it's probably going to be a primetime 8 p.m. That's what I'm thinking. If we're 3-0 going into that after a bye week, and there's no other really marquee games on October 10th. So I'm thinking we'll probably get College Game Day and get that stage and get an opportunity, which will be a blessing. I mean, at the end of the day, all you can ask for is a chance to show up and see what type of program Coach Manny Diaz and his staff, the front office, the football operations at the University of Miami has started to put together. There's 2 games that come and pop out to you. Of course, you got Clemson on October 10th, Saturday. And you also have Saturday, December 5th, home UNC. There's a chance that both teams can have maybe 1 or 2 losses going into that game. And it'll most likely be for a second spot in the ACC championship game, which we all know it'll be a different, it isn't about because it's a coastal rival. It's just an ACC opponent. So a December game at home, if it was at UNC, I'll be a little nervous, but it's at home. I'm pretty excited. I think that's one of the games that the players are just going to be super amped for. And the problem hasn't been, Mark, motivating the players to show up in games that they feel threatened, in games that they need to show up in. It's the games that they feel like, we can just roll out there and beat these boys. No. It's not like that anymore. This ain't 2002. We ain't like that no more. We got to build to being like that. And that's something that Coach Manny Diaz has talked about with our players. I mean, you walk into our indoor practice facility, the guys on the roster right now haven't done anything for those national championships that's in there. And just getting them to understand, you wear the same colors. You wear our logo, but we haven't done what those teams have done. We have opportunities to. We could be. Let's build on it, but we're not them just yet. And I love that approach. I truly do, because, we rep that U, but we all know when the University of Miami is rolling, woo, it can be bad, but when was the last time you could say that about our program? Sustainable rolling, not just we're doing well, we won a big game, we got a nice recruiting class. Talking about 2 or 3 years of building something to where you're like, okay, they're not there just yet. Took another step next year. Took another step. Those type of things. And I think that's what Coach Manny Diaz and this staff and these players and the leaders that we have on the team are ready to do. But we go down the schedule. I'll give you a whole all the way from top to the bottom, and then we could discuss it. So Thursday night opener, September 10th, home UAB, quality opponent. 2 years ago, 11-win team, a team that's going to be fired up to have a stage for a Miami game. And we have a little bit of time in between this game and the next game, with it being on a Thursday, and this at Louisville on September 19th. What I love about how that sets up for the first 2 games is you get the first game jitters out the way at home. Then you get your second game as a nice road test at Louisville. Okay. Then the third game, you get it out the way. Your rivalry game, those people from Tallahassee come down to Miami Gardens, and we get a chance to go ahead and handle them and scoop them and get them out the way like we should. On the 26th, you have a bye week. Then you have another opportunity where you're going on the road to Clemson, 4th game of the week. And you also have Pittsburgh at home, Virginia at home on the 17th and the 24th. Another bye week. Now we go at Dave Durham's squad, NC State, on a Friday, 9 times out of 10, a Friday night of November 6th. Then you have Saturday, November 14th, you have at Virginia Tech. Got to show up for a top 30, 40 team like Virginia Tech, no problem. Going to be very well coached. As we saw last year, they were down and still beat us in the shootout. Then you have on the 21st of November, home for Georgia Tech. First time we'll have back-to-back ACC or ACC rival like that at home. We played them last year at home. Now we get them at home again. On the 28th of November, you have at Wake Forest, which was a game that was already scheduled around that time anyway, so nothing new. And then you have the regular season closer, December 5th, home for UNC.
Okay, we got the wholesome one talking Miami football and so much to get to. He just ran down the ACC schedule, Miami's 10-game season. That obviously is an aberration from the 8-game season that we typically have. Notre Dame is included, and Notre Dame is eligible to win the ACC championship game. Wholesome one, I want you to understand what perspective I'm coming from when I make this statement. I am rooting for Notre Dame to win the ACC. Now, before everybody jumps and goes crazy about why I'm doing that, this has nothing to do with how much I like or dislike Notre Dame. This has nothing to do with that. I just want to, I will find it amusing if Notre Dame jumps into the ACC for 1 year and wins it. I just think that that would be poetic justice for what I consider to be a stupid decision by the ACC.
My viewpoint on this whole thing, Mark, it's funny because we talked about this.
Yep.
We talked about it before it was announced. And I was saying they need, I literally vividly remember talking about this 3 weeks ago. This is an opportunity where someone needs to force Notre Dame to join a conference. Now, unless, and I think it's something in the works that just hasn't been announced just yet. I think that they're going to join the conference. I think the ACC is just trying to find a second team to join with them, because you can't have odd. Unless you can tell me something I don't know, because you the voice of college football. Is there any other conference that's odd like that, where one side is more teams than the other?
There have been in the past. The old Big East had an odd configuration of teams. They got the Big East that Miami belonged to had not an even number of teams. It was 9 at one point. It was 7 at one point. And there have been some other ones, but you do have scheduling difficulties. Not everybody can play a conference game on the same weekend because you can't play each other, because you're going to have one team sitting out. And it is difficult to work through, and you don't have that uniform 8 teams, 12 teams, 8-game conference season. Yeah, it has to be figured out with 15, but maybe you go grab that team in the middle of Florida, bring them up.
I would love
that UCF team.
Grab UCF.
And then the ACC is much better with those two joining.
Absolutely. And not only that, you're helping an in-state team. That's a built-in rivalry with Miami and UCF that you can have rolling. And I would think that would give, but then it would be probably too lopsided if you put Notre Dame on the Atlantic side, because then you would have Notre Dame and Clemson, and then Miami and whoever wants to show up that week, that year. 7 straight different winners. And think about that. What if UCF comes and wins the ACC at Coastal first year in? Wouldn't that be something else? So, not that I would predict them to do that, because I think we're going to take our step. But it would be nice to add them into the conference. But to go on what you're saying, I think the complete opposite. I think if anything needs to happen, we as a conference cannot allow Notre Dame come in and win.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I'm just talking as a bystander. And for example, I root for chaos in the college football playoff every year, just because I want to see the system debunked. So I would just find it to be amusing and poetic justice if Notre Dame would win the ACC.
It would be wild. That would be wild. I've always said I think they're a Big Ten team. I think they have like a built-in rival with every single team dang near in the Big Ten, especially geographically. It would just be knock out of the park, perfect thing But, you know, like I said, I'm not going to take my shots. You already do your show with the team that I'm talking about that forced them not to be able to join the Big Ten. If you know, you know, the team I'm talking about that forced them out. But I mean, if they joined, that would only, another thing that would happen, Mark, it would force everybody to take a step up. I mean, as much as we, you know, Notre Dame is a little overrated every year, but it would force teams like Miami, we can't lose to them. Not only because there's a built-in rivalry, but also because there would be a conference game. If we want to make the ACC championship game, then we can't lose to them. So I would love it if they joined and officially. I think that would be a big move to give it a patch on their jersey for the ACC. And like I said, I think something's in the work. We'll look back years from now or months from now. Maybe something comes out. And one thing is when teams join conferences, there's a contract that's signed, correct, for a certain amount of years.
Sure.
So my question is, what other teams in a different conference to where their years are starting to wane off to where now they could sign into a new conference to join with Notre Dame would be my question. I don't know.
Well, what's happened in the past, Wholesome One, is that there's so much money involved in regards to the gain is that, you know, Maryland, for example, said, you know, we've got greener pastures in the Big Ten. We can make more money. And they bought out the ACC. Between them and the Big Ten, they said, here, ACC, here's $15 or $18 million. We're buying them out of their contract. And so that's how they get around that.
Oh, wow.
Maryland still had time left in the ACC, and they just bought their way out of it.
Whoa. I'll take $15, $18 million.
We could split it. Anybody on the super chat want to donate $15 to $18 million for the Wholesome One and I? We'll stay on here for 10 hours.
Yeah, well, I'll be here all day. I'll give me a nice chair, whatever y'all want to do.
So the way you can all realistically contribute to the channel is, number one, hit the like button. Yeah. So we got 904 Hurricane. We got many of you also encouraging others to hit the like button. So I appreciate everybody that jumps in the live chat and says, hit the like button, smash it down right now, get it done. We've got the super chat available, as I've got noted on the banner below. You can contribute also to Mark Rogers TV using Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Just go down to the description section of any of the videos and grab the link.